I'm going to say this, and please don't come for me. It's so difficult, but I feel like I have to address it because it has come up in so many of my recent videos in the comment section where, you know, the video that I did where I talked about African Americans, Hey guys, welcome back. So 11 years ago, I transitioned from the UK and moved to Ghana, and what an experience it has been. There's some things that I've learned about myself and about other things surrounding me that probably I never would have learned in the UK. And I just thought today would be a really great day to share some of those with you, because it doesn't just affect me, it also will affect you, especially if you're thinking about coming to Ghana or if you've just come to Ghana. So let's get into the video, shall we? Okay, so the first thing, one thing about being in the UK is that obviously we know I'm black. People are black in the UK. And when you're raised in the UK, that's what you're used to, right? You don't really know anything different. I mean, we don't have levels of racism like there is in the UK. It's a lot more overt, so you don't notice it as much. And I never really thought about my identity as a black person or a Ghanaian in the UK. It was more so actually when I moved to Ghana that I realized my identity more. And it wasn't necessarily always in a good way, okay? So let me explain what I'm trying to say. So when I moved to Ghana, I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna be amongst people that are the same color as me, you know, that first feeling when you get off the airplane and all you see is like the floods of black people and you're like, oh my gosh, this feels amazing, it feels great, all of that, and that's lovely. But after some time of being here, you start to notice that you are different. And it's not necessarily because Ghanaians or anyone is doing anything to say that you're different. You just feel different. You kind of feel a little bit misplaced, if I can use that word. And what I mean by that is, okay, so you leave, like I leave the UK and I come to Ghana. My identity in the UK is the fact that I am a British Ghanaian, right? Now I come to Ghana and I'm still a British Ghanaian. It's almost like you can't quite fit in. So even though both my parents are Ghanaian, fully Ghanaian, right? I almost still don't have that whole claim to Ghana, if that makes sense, because I've had an experience abroad. I was born abroad. And so even though I had come to Ghana, almost every other year we came to Ghana. Ghana is the only holiday destination like my family knew. Like I ain't been nowhere else, like just Ghana. That's the only place. You get on a plane, you end up in Ghana. That's what happens, right? And so that's kind of what I knew. So I've had this thing of Ghana all the way through my life until I decided to move here. But yet still, I don't still fully belong. Or maybe that's not the right word. I'm not fully integrated because, and it's not even necessarily that I don't speak Tree. Okay, first of all, I'm Ewe, so we speak Ewe. But most people, when you come here, predominantly speak Tree. But we're not getting into the language debate. That's not today's video. And so when you come here, it's like, you're not fully accepted as being Ghanaian, even when you tell people you're Ghanaian. And when you're in the UK, you're not really fully British amongst those that won't accept you because, you know, you're not white, you're not, you know, you're something else. Like they will say to you like, oh, where are you from? Do you know what I mean? That conversation is always like, where are you from? And so it's like, where do you really belong? And the reason I'm talking about this is not just because I'm sitting here complaining, it's like, I don't belong here and I don't belong here. What I want us to understand is that that is what the diaspora is for. So it actually took me a little while to get my head around what the diaspora actually means. And what it is the diaspora is that in-between group. So where I may not feel like I 100% fit into the UK of what that is, whatever it is. And I may not 100% fit into the typical, this is Ghanaian, this person is Ghanaian. I fit into the category of the diaspora, right? So what is the diaspora? The diaspora can be a group of people right now. I don't want people to mistake this. The diaspora is a mixture of people. So it can be people who, through their lineage, they are Ghanaian. They have some connection to Ghana. Like for me, my parents are both Ghanaian, but I was raised abroad. It could be first generation Ghanaians trying to come back to Ghana. It could be anybody. In fact, the diaspora is anybody that feels that they have a connection to the motherland, right? That's who the diaspora is. And it's almost like we are in this category of ourselves. Now, I don't want this video, I'm speaking very slowly and I'm trying to choose my words because I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm saying in this video. Because this is not about being divisive. This is not about that. It's more about the unity and you being able to understand where I want to use the word core group, but properly that's not the right word. But really understand where you belong, okay? So for me, as I said, UK, Ghana, diaspora, I fit into that category. So for a long time, I kind of struggled with where I fit because, I felt misplaced. And I think for a lot of people, you're going to experience that when you come to Ghana. So in previous videos that I've done, I've noticed in the comment section, there's very much that feeling of, well, we're from America and when we come to Ghana, we're not fitting, we're treated differently, we're treated this and that. Yes, and there are valid points in that, but you also have to know your community too, right? And it's not a thing where it's African Americans that are just the diaspora in that community or Black British returnees that are in that community. There's a lot of us that actually fall into that community because we are not 100% one or the other. And so we are in the middle. And I want us to understand that so you get your sense of belonging, okay? So I've explained who the diaspora is, and that's kind of like where you fit. That's where you get your grounding from. So when you move to Ghana, one of the things you want to do is tap into the diaspora because the diaspora is a representation of you and what you stand for. So if you want to really feel a connection with Ghana and you don't want to feel like any type of outsider, then the diaspora is the community that you need. One of the things that I absolutely hate, I don't even know why I'm bringing this up right now, but it just, I don't know, something just clicked inside of me, and I hate it so much, is that when we are in the West, right, and say I've just moved from Ghana and I've gone to the UK, I'll be seen as an immigrant. But when I come from the UK to Ghana, now I'm the diaspora. It's like the most stupidest thing I've heard. But anyway, that's a note for another video, I guess. But yeah, when you come here, you really have to tap into your community because a lot of us do feel like a loss of identity when we come here. We're not quite sure where we fit in, Like I said, you may not speak the language. You may not understand some of the cultural things that happen here. And so the diaspora is a place where you are able to catch up on who you are or have that sense of belonging. And again, I will say again that I don't want this video to seem like I am segregating people, like you belong to this, you belong to that, you belong to that. That's not what it's about, because that's not what we need here right now, right? Where it's more about the support that we can have for each other over everything else. And I'm gonna say this, and please don't come for me. It's so difficult. But I feel like I have to address it because it has come up in so many of my recent videos in the comment section where, the video that I did where I talked about African Americans, a lot of African Americans are leaving and going back to America, right? Comments on there were very much like, it's not African Americans. Why don't you say people didn't want to be known as African Americans. Why don't you say Black Americans? Why don't you say we're actually, some of us are foundational Black Americans. It's like all these groups within groups of, it's so hard for me to say because I'm not being dismissive of where you feel that you're at. Like if you are part of the FBA, that's cool. But that doesn't also mean that you can't be a part of the diaspora when you come here. Because for me, anybody that has a connection or wants to invest somehow or wants to feel connected to Ghana or the motherland is also part of the diaspora. But I feel like sometimes we always want to break down these subgroups into subgroups into subgroups into subgroups, and all it does is create disunity. Ideally, we should all be one, but the reason that I'm saying that the groups are like wherever you're from the West, and then whoever is Ghanaian, and then the diaspora is because that's kind of where you feel you're belonging, and you can still be part of the FBA and be part of the diaspora, but you can't necessarily be an FBA and also be like 100% I'm American and everybody in America accepts me for who I am, because let's be honest here, we are not accepted in that way because you don't have the skin color, or, you know, no matter how much you want to almost lay claim to some of these things. And I'm being very careful with what I say so you don't misunderstand me. No matter where you try to claim that this is where I was born and raised and blah, 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 you almost have to fight for that right. You have to fight for the right to be a part of that. You're not just openly accepted. And it's the same for the UK. You're not just openly accepted. Like, I cannot go around in the UK and say, yes, I am British born and bred. Yeah, like I can maybe put that on paper, but they're still going to ask me, what's your ethnicity? Like, what's your cultural background? They want to know further what it is. It's like, it's not enough for me to just say, I'm British, because I'm not. I have other things in me, you know, I have other things in me, okay? So that's why the diaspora community is so important. It's about being able to mesh these two worlds somewhere in the middle so that we have a belonging. When I came to Ghana, I did feel I struggled. I definitely struggled because wanting to mix with Ghanaians who were born and bred here, there were cultural differences. There were cultural differences in how we communicated. There were still some things that I had to learn about the culture too that I wasn't aware of, you know, and the way that you're also received. Like, you go out to dinner, you're expected to pay because you're the one from abroad. So it's assumed that you have the funds and the means to pay for these things. And so it's like, it was a struggle to really fit into that community, even if I really wanted to. And that even goes, I can say that even goes as far as even being with family that was born, raised, and everything here. Even still fitting into that, there is still a little bit of division in it. You're never 100% in, you know, and so I struggled in that aspect where, you know, sometimes people will poke fun of it. And, you know, hey, me, I'm all for jokes. I can take a joke. Like, I ain't going to be offended by certain things. But, you know, at the same time, there are times when some of these comments do cut deep because you're like, this is the path that I was given, right? So why am I not able to come and restore or feel whole being back where my roots really are? And so that's kind of like how it was when I came here. And I think had I not come to Ghana, I wouldn't have been so aware of the misplacement that I had while I was in the UK, because that's all I know, right? It's like if someone's born into a prison, for example, that's all they know. They don't know what the outside world is. They just go about the motions, you know? And I think another thing that I learned when I moved here is that I realized that the world is open. And I'll explain what I mean by that. The world is open. Like, I can literally go and live anywhere. Sometimes for some of us, we're so stuck in where we were born and we never look outside that. And so therefore we limit our experiences so much. But just being in Ghana and learning the culture, it just makes me think like, okay, I'm learning the Ghanaian culture, even though I'm Ghanaian. Imagine how much the more there is to learn out there. Imagine how much, what I can learn if I go to Kenya, if I go to Nigeria, if I go anywhere else in the world, if I go to Thailand, you know what I mean? If I go, like anywhere else that I go in the world, there's so much more to learn. And for a lot of us, we have limited who we potentially could be by staying where we are. And it's different if you've come and you've had an experience here or anywhere that you don't like, or you don't quite feel like you fit in. I feel like you're still almost part of the diaspora. You still fit into that category of the diaspora, even though you are somewhere else. So I can have someone who is Nigerian and they're still part of the diaspora, so I can still relate to that person because our experience is, oh, we've come from the West and we're trying to make it in the motherland, or, you know, where I haven't even touched on Jamaicans, you know, like we still have that connection. That network of being in the diaspora still connects us no matter where you pick up and leave and go to, because that is our community and that is where you have to gain your strength from. I hope you guys are following what I'm saying in the video, because it's so hard to explain without offending any particular group of people, because like I said, this is not a video that is supposed to be divisive. It's a video that's actually supposed to bring unity and strength. So I want you to be able to understand what I'm saying clearly. So if you come to Ghana or to anywhere in the motherland, really claim your identity as being part of the diaspora and be proud of that. Because yes, we want to fit into other communities, and it does work to an extent, but your base is still going to be diaspora. Oh, I'm really struggling to do this video, like so much. I'm struggling to do it because, you know, when you do videos like this, you're going to have people that will be like, yes, I understand what you're saying, because they've been through the experience, they've been through the journey, they understand. But then you have other people who look in, who perhaps haven't been on the journey, so they don't have, their perspective is not as wide, and they're just hearing what they're saying and using their limited knowledge, because it is limited if you haven't had the experience, to jump in and say, well, no, you're talking rubbish, you're saying this, you're doing that. And so it's very difficult. So I'm sure you've noticed that my content has kind of pivoted a little bit. I'm still doing my same content, but I've pivoted a little bit because I really want to give the real on the hard truths on what it is like to live here. And yeah, I just want to give the real, you know, and being able to give the real means that you're going to come up against a little bit of backlash, you know, there's going to be a little bit of friction there. But these types of videos are necessary to do in order for us to gain a better understanding, right? Without knowledge, we are nothing, okay? And that's what it is. So these videos are very much about sharing knowledge. And so while some of you in the comment section may feel like, oh, she's coming after Ghanaians, why do you have to say like this? Why can't you say more positive things? Why can't you do that? It's not that when I do these videos, I am looking down on a particular group of people, or I'm just trying to be negative, or I'm trying to stop people coming here. Nah, that's not right. If you're looking at it that way, that's your own perspective. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to help you so that you are properly prepared when you come here, because if you want to look for all the positive things, then go and watch all the other YouTube videos that are out there, because they will give you all the positive, but it's not necessarily a balanced perspective. I want to bring balance to everything that's being shared online, and that's kind of like what I'm here to do, because I don't want you to come here and get stuck and not understand things and think, why didn't anybody tell me about this or tell me about that? You know, I want us to understand the community of people that we are, just so that we can make better decisions for ourselves. And again, it's not divisive. It's not against the West, the UK, America, Canada. It's not against any of that. That has its own benefits and its own perks and its own place. But I am trying to help you understand that the diaspora is a community that this is where your foundation is, this is where you belong, and there's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean that because you're part of the diaspora, you can't also be part of the Ghanaian community. You can be part of the Ghanaian community, but this is where your foundation kind of lies. I hope that makes sense. Oh my gosh, I'm going to end the video right there because this was a hard one for me to do today. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I just had to do it. I had to say it. And I very much try to use myself as the example so that nobody thinks I am talking from not having the experience or being one-sided in any way. This was my genuine experience, and people that I have also spoken to have had a similar kind of experience, no matter where they're from. They come to Ghana, they have a similar experience, because you walk in here and you walk in with your heart open and you think, these are my people, I'm gonna be loved, finally. And all of that is still valid, don't get me wrong. These are your people, this is where you belong, this is where you're gonna feel at peace, this is where home is gonna feel. But within that, you still need a community that understands where you're from as well. You know, simple things like there are some jokes that you're going to make that nobody else is going to understand. Only if you're a part of the diaspora will you understand that joke. That's just the reality of it. Whether you choose to take it or not, that is the reality of what this is. So there you go. But anyway, I'm going to end the video there. I'd love to hear in the comment section what you think about what I've said today. If you've been able to follow along and kind of understand, maybe you might have to read in between the lines a little bit. You know, it's hard to 100% say what you want to say, but that's that. But anyway, yeah, leave your comments in the comment section below and let's get to talking. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Don't forget to also like, comment and share this video. Until next time, I am out. Latifafa.
Me wind and rain, you're some kind of butterfly.